Today is an auspicious day. It's Ekadashi, Pandavanirjala Ekadashi. It's also Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to any and all of you that get the honor. Baladev Vidyabhushana, the great Acharya in our line. It's his disappearance anniversary, and Mother Ganga Goswamini for her appearance day. Can you switch that around then? No, I want that. So such an auspicious day. Why not sing an auspicious song? I'm sure we can all follow along. Suddha Bhakata Carana Renu bhajana-anukula bhakata-seva parama-siddhi prema-latikara mula madhava-tithi bhakti-janani jetane palana kori jetane palana krishna-basati boli parama-adare boli je-saba karelo brahmana-range se-saba harivoami pranayi-bhakata-sange prasada-seba sakala prapanchaya Charana sedurikiya ganga mabaya mula churaya prana madhava-tithi jani gaura-bihita Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Could be given on this song. It is so nice. Captures so many, if not all, so many of the principles of devotional service that please Krishna. Dust from the lotus feet of pure devotees is conducive to devotional service, while service to the Vaishnavas is itself the supreme perfection and the root of the tender creeper of divine love. I observe with great care the holy days like Ekadashi and Janmashtami, for they are the mother devotion. As my dwelling place, I choose with the greatest of reverence and love the transcendental abode of Sri Krishna. All those places where my Lord Gaura-Sundar traveled for pastimes, I'll visit in the company of loving devotees. My mind always begs for the opportunity to hear the music of the mridanga. Upon hearing the kind of kirtan, pure kirtan, ordained by Lord Gaura-Sundar, my heart dances in ecstasy. By beholding the deity forms of the divine couple, Shri Radha, Giridhari, I feel the greatest joy. By honoring the Lord's prasad, I conquer over all worldly illusions. Goloka Vrindavan appears in my home whenever I see the worship and service of Lord Hari going on there. Upon seeing the Ganges, which is a river of nectar emanating from the lotus feet of the Lord, my happiness knows no bounds. The sight of the holy Tulasi tree soothes my soul, for I know she gives pleasure to Lord Krishna. By honoring Shak, a green leafy vegetable preparation, a dear favorite of Lord Chaitanya, I consider life worthwhile. Whatever Bhaktivinoda Thakura obtains that is conducive for the service of Sri Krishna, he accepts every day with the greatest joy. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura ki. So, thank you for coming. Haven't seen some of you in a long time. It's a real pleasure. My name's Rajendranandana Dasa, an insignificant disciple of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. It's a little hard sometimes. Balaram Prabhu said, pick a topic. And this was like 3 weeks ago or something. Why do I want to die? So anyway, I said the glories of devotional service and Ekadashi. I figured can't go wrong with that broad-based title. But I guess I should ask, because I could tailor it a little bit. Is there anybody here for the first time? Really? Welcome. Do you know who Krishna is? Who is Krishna? He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is Vishnu. So, thank you. We'll read from the most confidential knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9:14. Because of the time being cruel as it is, I'm just going to read the Sanskrit and get to the verse and purport. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudeva is another one of Krishna's names. And Om Namo, we offer our respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord, Vasudeva, Krishna, Vishnu. So, hey, can you ask him to turn his thing down? Doesn't have to be super loud out there. So, Satatam Kirtiyanto Mam, text 14. Yatantascha dridavritaha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Always chanting my glories, and this is Krishna speaking to Arjuna, always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. The Mahatma cannot be manufactured by rubber stamping an ordinary man. So, what is a Mahatma? In the previous verse, text 13, Krishna says, O son of Pratha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature, the spiritual nature of the Lord. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. So Mahatma means great souls, those surrendered to the Lord. A Mahatma's symptoms are described here. A Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord Krishna, the Personality of Godhead. He has no other business. He's always engaged in the glorification of the Lord. In other words, he's not an impersonalist. When the question of glorification is there, one has to glorify the Supreme Lord, praising His holy name, His eternal form, His transcendental qualities, and His uncommon pastimes, spiritual pastimes. One has to glorify all these things. Therefore, a Mahatma is attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who is attached to the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord, the Brahma-jyoti, is not described as Mahatma in the Bhagavad-gita. He's described in a different way in the next verse, which is 15. Krishna says, others who engage in sacrifice by cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as one without a second. Everything is God, and they think God is formless. It's all-pervading spiritual energy. And then others below them think there are many gods. They worship Him as diverse and many, and some think that the universe itself is a form of God. Worship Him in the universal form. So the impersonalists, they're not described as Mahatmas. The Mahatma is always engaged in different activities of devotional service, as described in Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing and chanting about Vishnu, not a demigod or human being. That is devotion. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu and Smaranam, remembering Him. Such a Mahatma has firm determination to achieve at the ultimate end the association of the Supreme Lord in any one of the 5 transcendental rasas. Rasas means relationship. You can have the relationship of awe and reverence. You can have a relationship as a servant, as a friend. You can have parental love for the Lord in His highest planet, Goloka Vrindavan. You can even be the beloved or lover of Sri Krishna. This is very, very high confidential knowledge. So the Mahatma has firm determination to achieve one of these relationships with the Supreme Lord. To achieve that success, he engages all activities, mental, bodily, and vocal, everything, in the service of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. That is called full Krishna consciousness. In devotional service, there are certain activities which are called determined, such as fasting on certain days, like the 11th day of the moon, Ekadashi. That's today. And on the appearance day of the Lord. All these rules and regulations are offered by the great acharyas, great teachers, for those who are actually interested in getting admission into the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental world, far, far, far beyond the material universe. The Mahatmas, great souls, strictly observe all these rules and regulations, and therefore they are sure to achieve the desired results. As described in the 2nd verse of this chapter, not only is devotional service easy, but it can be performed in a happy mood. Very famous verse. Raja Vidya Rajaguyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Ksha vagamam dharmyam susukam kartamavyam. This knowledge about devotional service, about the glories of the transcendental spiritual supreme personality of Godhead is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It's the purest knowledge. And because it gives direct perception of the self, the soul, you and I, within this corpse, by realization, it's the perfection of religion. This knowledge is everlasting, and it is joyfully performed. One does not need to undergo any severe penance and austerity. Little different mood than what we heard this morning, emphasizing the austerities, sharpen the mind, control the senses, has its place in devotional service. But Srila Prabhupada here is saying one doesn't need to undergo any severe penance and austerity. He can live this life in devotional service guided by an expert spiritual master, expert teacher. And in any position, either as a householder, married person, or a sannyasi, celibate monk, same with the brahmachari, in any position, they can stay, just being guided by the spiritual master. They can stay anywhere in the world, they can perform this devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus become actually a Mahatma, a great soul. Say some prayers for purification, hoping some mercy can descend to hear some transcendental glories of the Lord in His service. Chant along if you know the prayers, please. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gnanjana Salakya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadandikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shuta Padikamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shiva Shakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karana Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kapatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vivacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So everybody wants to be the best that they can be. Everybody wants to reach their full potential in life. But what is the full potential of the living entity, of you and I? So many people will espouse so many things. There's so many processes. There's so many different goals in life. Well, Krishna is the supreme authority. He's God. He is the creator. He is our Father. He loves us so much, even though He lives in His spiritual kingdom far beyond the material universe, as I said. He's expanded Himself as a Vishnu form called Paramatma, and accompanying the spirit soul, you and I, throughout our sojourn of many births and deaths since time immemorial. Since the beginning of creation, possibly before this last creation, previous creation. He's so loving. So it's actually natural to reawaken our relationship with Him. And we have to understand, well, what is our relationship? Because some people have some philosophy, well, God has created this world, God has created me, and God gave us the ability to enjoy this world, that this world is meant for our enjoyment. We can agree with that to a slight degree. If you take God out of the equation in your attempt to enjoy, you're going to fail miserably. How much anxiety, how much mental ill health is there? How much suffering is there in the world? In America, we highlight it in our news, in our media. The suffering, the fear. It's all pervasive. And that's only because of forgetfulness or ignorance of Krishna and our eternal relationship with Him, and the fact that He is in control of everything and everyone. Now, He gives us independence. We're made in His image. We're a tiny little part and parcel of Him. Amai-vamsa, jiva-loka, jiva-bhuta sanatana. We're eternally His part and parcel. And because we are His tiny part and parcel, we have an eternal relationship with Him. And what is that relationship? It is one of service. He's unlimitedly great. He is all attractive, as the name Krishna means. Once you begin to hear about who Krishna is, when you hear about the transcendental beauty of His spiritual form, this gives us some small inkling when you see Radha and Krishna accepting our worship, happy to see us here before them. When you get some glimpse or some knowledge of His transcendental beauty, of His transcendental qualities, whoever you think is the coolest, in any way, shape, or form where you think, yeah, if I could be them, that's who I'd want. If I could be someone else, that's who I'd want to be. Well, multiply that times 1,000,000,000,000 unlimitedly. Because all the qualities of all the tiny little infinitesimal living entities, you and I, they all come from Krishna. And He possesses those qualities in unlimited quantity. So, of course, we're subordinate to Him and we should act accordingly. He's giving us everything we have, life itself, our successes, our loved ones, whatever assets we may have to try to make it easy in the struggle of life, home, car, etc. We should be grateful. Not that every once in a while we say a prayer, thank you, God. That's better than nothing. Krishna will take anything when offered from the forgetful living entity in this universe, because He is wanting so badly that we return back home to His association and eternally, lovingly reciprocate with Him in service. Actually, a competition of service in Krishna Loka, the highest kingdom of the Lord. The devotee simply wants to please Krishna, and Krishna simply wants to please His devotees. We're looking for that in this world. No one's finding it. And even if you did, theoretically, the relationship would be temporary because it's all on the bodily platform. In ignorance, we're thinking we're the body, but it's just like a set of clothes that I'm wearing tonight. I'll take off and I'll put on a new set tomorrow. So today, tomorrow, next year, or in a few years, we're all going to give up the body. That's called death. Life doesn't end there. We, being eternal, will be brought back to this world to try to fulfill the unsatisfied desires that we cultivated. Or, if we take the advice of the great souls and of Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, we have the opportunity, if we want, to take advantage of the human form of life. In the human form of life, you can reawaken your eternal knowledge of the eternal relationship with Krishna. It is so natural. Let's see if I can pull up this succinct statement by Prahlad Maharaj, because it's so nice. He's preaching to his friends, and he says, this devotional service is natural because Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality Godhead, is the most beloved, the master of the soul, and the well-wisher of all other living beings. Now, if somebody insults you, if somebody steals from you, if somebody turns their back on you, how benevolent are you going to be feeling towards that person? Are you going to be feeling the love towards that person? Probably not. Pretty saintly if you do. The only way you really if they're your blood. You can forgive so many things. It's amazing. I hate you, but I love you. You might have some experience. We know. But Krishna, he doesn't have any envy. He doesn't ultimately, his life goes on whether we surrender to him or not. He doesn't need our service, our love. He has unlimited servants in the spiritual world. He has many servants in this world. And they're all surrendering their life, their words, their actions, their thoughts, simply to please him. And even if you take it in another aspect, Jai Shishi Giri Raj Maharaj ki Jai, Radha Girdhari ki Jai. Even if you take it in another sense, he's completely self-satisfied. It's not like, because everything comes from him. He has everything. He doesn't need anything. He has created it all. He possesses it all. He's completely self-satisfied. But that reservoir of all pleasure, Krishna, is looking for love. He lives for love. And when we say love, it's not like, scratch my back and then I'll love you. He loves us whether we surrender to him fully, partially, or neglect him and envy him. He loves us irregardless. Always has and always will. That's the relationship we're looking for because it comes from him. He wants that. That is his highest pleasure. Reciprocating with his loving servants. Friends, parents, and lovers. And the Mahatmas are showing us how we can reawaken that love. It's not really that hard because it's joyfully performed. You might have a little bit of a learning curve in the beginning where, wow, I don't really feel that comfortable going to bed earlier and getting up early so that I can meditate on the sound vibrations of Krishna's names, the transcendental names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We may be conditioned to bad habits that are not conducive to remembering that we're spirit soul and have an eternal relationship with Krishna. So there's a bit of a learning curve, and it may seem difficult in the beginning, giving up some of the things that I like. But all the things that I've liked are running away from the things that I don't like. Where are we left? In actuality, we're still miserable. I mean, I'm not a pessimist. I'm not a sadomasochist. I'm not crazy. I'm just being honest. I have a blessed life. I'll tell you, I've got tons of blessings. But still, my back's giving me a little right now. Or I just hate the fact. It's 7:02, and officially I'm supposed to end at 7:15. That's the temporary nature of this world. I mean, I'm almost driven to speak in crude slang, but it's not nice. So we need to realize that although it seems contradictory, when I give up my own selfish desires, and I simply cultivate under the guidance of a Mahatma, one who is elevated in their Krishna realization and surrender. When I give up my selfish desires of trying to please my mind, my senses, my extended family members, friends, society, country, etc., when I give all that up and instead selflessly simply try to please Krishna and his servants, that's how I'm going to be happy? Yes. It's the only way we're going to be happy. The only way. And Krishna is so kind, he has allowed us since time immemorial to try again, again, and again, and again through all the different species and in this human life, all the different relationships and activities of sense gratification. And generally they degrade us. Because the harder you try to enjoy this body and mind, the more gross you have to become. That's basically the influence of this age we live in. Very crude, very low class. But Krishna consciousness is just the opposite. We unplug. Not that we renounce. How do you renounce? It's not mine, it's Krishna's. I don't own anything, including this body. Only thing I own is my independence and the ability to desire to choose serving Krishna or trying to serve me. That's all I have. So we unplug by becoming detached, realizing this belongs to Krishna. Please teach me how to use it to please Krishna. Everything comes from Krishna, is owned by Krishna, and actually the art, the science of devotional service will reveal to us how to use it all in Krishna's service. And if we can't, then we just Hare Krishna. Respect it as the Lord's, and we're unable to utilize it in His service. Let somebody else use it. So this devotional service, we can't overemphasize its importance. It is the only way in which we're going to be happy. It behooves us to learn the science. I mean, just in essence, there are 9 ways in which you can serve the Lord. They've been categorized in 9 different activities, but it all begins with hearing. Sitting here and listening to a devotee explain the instructions of Krishna, a devotee who is practicing those same instructions, a devotee who has some realization of those instructions, simply hear with a submissive attitude, and Krishna from within the heart can do magic. Because this is not an intellectual exercise. It doesn't depend upon high IQ. Doesn't depend on anything material. Education, wealth, beauty, fame, strength, wealth, nothing material. In fact, often those are the causes of obstructing the realization. Because people become proud thinking, that's me, that's mine. No, it's all Krishna's. So if we simply hear this transcendental knowledge, Krishna from within the heart will cleanse the bad habits, the conditioning that we've undergone since time immemorial, turning away from Krishna, trying to enjoy separate from His service. The magic happens. Just like when you get your box of tasty prasadam tonight, no one's going to have to tell you how, wow, this is nice. When you taste it, you're going, this is nice. It was cooked with devotion for Krishna. If it doesn't taste nice, hunt down the devotee who cooked it and ask him, where was your devotional attitude this evening? Maybe you can encourage him to surrender a little bit more. But it is a kadashing. There will be no beans or grains within it. And it's wonderful because it gives us an opportunity to honor different varieties than generally served out on Sunday evenings, Thursday evenings. But tasty prasadam, help me, Balaram. The step before that was, I chewed on the devotees too much. Krishna reveals. Yeah. No. This is another aspect of Krishna. He gives the transcendental knowledge. That's what I think I was saying, from within the heart. It's a gift. It's a revelation from Him. And if He turns it off, there's nothing you can do. Forgetfulness also comes from Him. If that's your desire to forget Him, He will let you do. You can become the biggest atheist and be fully convinced God's a joke. People who believe in God are stupid. He'll give you that ability. He'll give you even, so-called rationale, examples, etc., etc. Just like sometimes it's said, may not be a perfect example, but some owls might tell you there is no sun. What's a sun? Because they only wake up at night and engage in activities at night. So if we want to remain in ignorance, Krishna will fulfill that desire. But knowledge, remembrance, that's what we want from Krishna. And to get it, we have to begin by hearing. It's the first step. And once you've heard, and from the very beginning, we encourage everybody, please chant this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Don't just do it when you come here Sunday evening, Thursday evening. Please, at home, practice this chanting of Hare Krishna. Anybody, it's 3 words. It's Hare Krishna Ram. It's his holy names. It is non-different from Krishna. It's absolute, spiritual. All the glories and potencies that Krishna possesses are in the names. They possess those same glories and qualities, and even a higher degree of compassion than the Lord himself, because those names can dance on anyone's tongue at any time. Whereas you had to come to the temple to have darshan of Radha Giridhari. You have to become elevated and purified through the process of bhakti to realize Krishna within your heart, where he will reveal his transcendental form to you. It all comes through the chanting. Begins with chanting, the method is chanting, and the goal is pure chanting. The means and the goal are absolute, they're the same. So we're so fortunate. Anybody can take up this chanting. Hear and repeat. So in the very get-go, we encourage everybody, chant Hare Krishna, because this is the mercy specifically of this age, that reawakening of our eternal relationship with Krishna and the love that he has for us and we have for him, it is fully available in the sound vibration of the holy names. Now there are recommendations, do not, so that you can purify your consciousness quickly through chanting Hare Krishna. There's no cheating in Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada and the Mahatmas will tell us the highest standard, how you can reach love of God. Guaranteed. It's a science. You do this as you are instructed. Don't do that as you're instructed. And put your full sincerity of purpose into it. Krishna wants to give us love of God. Wants more so than anything in our relationship. It's fully there in the chanting of Hare Krishna. So please practice hearing, chanting, and the more you hear and chant, we recommend, hey, if you don't have this Bhagavad Gita, go out on the table and purchase one, please. One way it's been suggested, because it's 800 verses, and in every verse you'll hear that Krishna is saying, surrender to me. You're eternal, you're the easiest path, the easiest way of reawakening your relationship with me, of being happy even while in this body and in this world, is through devotional service. So it's recommended, I've heard Vijay Prabhu say, so read the verses first. Read the English verses. Get a feel for the book. Then start diving into the purports. Some of the words you'll have to look up in the glossary or whatever you call it. It's a learning curve, as I said. But the value of hearing or reading, studying this transcendental knowledge presented in these books is priceless. It is eternal. It will help you achieve that which you are really looking for, even if you don't realize it. Because ultimately, we're all looking to be happy, which translates, we're all looking for love, and this is where it's found. In loving service to Krishna and his dear servants. So I think I might actually stop on time, because maybe there's a question or a reflection on anything that was said.
I think when you were talking about the boxes, I think you're mentioning how no one has to tell you you're satisfied.
Thank you. Tushti.
Yeah.
What's the next one? Tushti?
Pushti.
Pushti,
yeah.
and virakta or
yeah.
vairagya.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one has to tell you, Balaram, I knew you were listening. He had to kind of wince a little because he might have cooked some of the preparations. But
well, I was gonna joke and say, oh, I actually was the cook, but I wasn't the cook. So I was you come after me, but I wasn't the cook. The cooks aren't here actually, but they're good cooks, so I think it'll be okay.
They're good devotees.
Good devotees, good cooks.
Good devotees. Yeah. That's the main element. Good devotion, effort to please Guru and his servants. So, no one has to tell you you're satisfied when you honor the prasadam. Honor. You say your prayers, gratefully accepting this mercy that Krishna has given to us. It's food that has been cooked for his pleasure. First and foremost, offered to him. The deities accept such offerings when done with love. And no one has to tell you when you're satisfied. No one has to tell you that your body feels like some of the devotees fasted today for Ekadashi. Well, no one has to tell them when they break that fast tomorrow by honoring some fruit or some kind of, we call it prasadam, spiritual foodstuffs offered to Krishna. No one has to tell them, like, wow, I've got some energy. They become nourished. And simultaneously, when you are really hungry and you're sitting down to a wonderful meal, you don't have interest in anything else. Am I right? Don't bug me. This is fantastic. And I'm starving. Why does he keep talking? But with every bite, you become more filled, full. And you become detached from that which you were so absorbed in. You begin being detached or oblivious to everything else, just focus on that. But in the example, this is the slight, incomplete comparison. Because although when you honor a meal and become full and satisfied and nourished, you don't want any more. But you never come to that point in serving Krishna. You only want more and more and more service. Because the mercy that Krishna gives in reciprocating with us, the love that he gives us, the very first symptom of anybody taking the devotional service, even in the most slight fashion, sins will disappear like fog in the morning when the first rays come from behind the horizon. Your karma, pious, impious, Krishna gives that. Here's a free one on me. He removes the burden that's causing us to suffer. And if we stay engaged in the process, not putting on the brakes, finding our comfort zone, becoming lazy or becoming bewildered and turning back to sense gratification. If we continue praying for the mercy, striving to surrender and to please Krishna, day by day, more and more, then that pleasure of reciprocation, when it attains the spiritual platform, when Krishna reveals himself to us, when he reveals our eternal identity as spirit soul, not this thing we see in the mirror, our happiness will know no bounds. Nothing compares to it. No other process offers any perfection or goal that compares in any way, shape, or form. But we say, try it yourself. Don't listen to me. Who am I? Try it yourself. Give yourself some, like it says, determined activities. Say, okay, I'm going to chant Hare Krishna. We have beads where, we know how often we count, how many names are chanting, one name for every bead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Next bead, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If you don't have beads or you don't feel inclined to get the beads, and look at the clock. Okay, let me chant 5-10 minutes. Set yourself some kind of standard. Follow it for a week. Follow it for 2 weeks. Heck, dare I be bold, for a month. And tell me if you don't become nourished, satisfied, and more detached from the stuff that you were chasing after to be happy and are finding, wow, this chanting Hare Krishna is nice. I want to do more. So in that way, devotional service, the bliss coming from Krishna, the pleasure, the love, the mercy coming from Krishna, it's unlimited and there is no end to it. And that's something to look forward to. So, first comment was very much appreciated. Anybody else have any reflections or comments? You're very welcome. Hare Krishna. Was there anything that you liked in the class? Shri? Reassuring in... Can you make it a longer sentence? Can somebody give him the microphone? This is Sri Balaram.
I'm Balaram. This is Sri Balaram.
It's a winning duo right there.
Yeah. Well, it definitely gives me hope for the future.
Jai! That's devotional service. That's a devotional attitude. Enthusiasm, patience, and confidence. That hope against hope, I have confidence. Krishna and his servants, the Mahatmas, will give me their mercy. I just have to try. Let me try. Great hope. Thank you, Bala.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else? Kanai Balai? Okay. You can't get milk from the nipples of a goat's neck? Wow! The man's on fire. I appreciate your company. I look forward to seeing you next time, and I wish you all the best in cultivating your desire to please Krishna and his devotees. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Samaveda Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki. Ki Jai means all glories to, and Samaveda Bhakta Gaura, that's all of you. So all glories to your company.
So yeah, thank you again to